I'm here with Alex Forman. We're in Bad Company Gym in Leeds. Alex, you're one of the co-promoters of Smash series, but Smash 10 coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about your history and how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, started out when I was 14, started Thai boxing in a local gym in Liverpool called Cowbon. Spent about 6 months to a year training there, and then I actually stopped for quite a while and didn't get back into it till I was an adult, and then just went through the motions like everyone does, from training to being asked to have an amateur fight and then going into fighting professional level, and then done all right domestically, and then fell into promoting, shall we say. I wouldn't say I went into it purposely, I fell into it.
So if we go back to your first fight, presumably you had some ambition. Where was it? Just to win the fight, just to go on? Did you see yourself as doing well right at that early stage?
No, I remember my first fight like it was yesterday. It was I didn't really think beyond that, to be honest with you. It was a fight I was training at MAaction in Liverpool at the time under Simon Audley, who later went on to start Sapphire, and it was just randomly out the blue on a couple of days' notice, which ended up being like a lot of my fights, to be honest. Took them late notice, but a couple of days' notice, the owner of MAash, Ben, he phones me and says, "Do you want to fight in Wales at the weekend?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" So turned up, went. I had a good scrap. I got beat on a split decision, but I know the guy who I fought is a guy called Nick Audrey, and he's never fought since, and I've had like 50 odd fights since.
So after that first fight, what were your immediate thoughts? Did you think, "Oh, I love this, I've got to do it again," or did you again take a bit of a back seat? Tell us what happened next.
Yeah, it was like a roller coaster ride. You're a bit fearful at first, and then once you get on, you just want to keep getting on and keep getting on. That's how I felt, and the more I got on, the more I wanted to get on. So I just kept fighting. All I wanted to do was fight, just live to fight. I mean, I was never the best trainer, if I'm honest. Hated training, but I used to love to just fight.
So it's the actual adrenaline, the excitement, the fear factor of being in the ring and being under pressure that you love?
Yeah, definitely. The whole build up to the whole day, even the sleepless nights the night before, where you're sweating in bed for hours, your back's sweating, your arms are sweating, your feet are sweating, you're having to sleep with no quilt on, you're tossing and turning. It takes you 3 or 4 hours to get to sleep on the night before the fight, and to be honest, most nights leading up to the show, it's like that as well. But come the day of the fight, it's just like, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it now. I miss it, but I think I've got too much on now with the gym, the promotions, and a family and stuff now that I didn't have when I was fighting. So
now, I hope you don't mind me saying so, but you're like me. You're a big lad, and there aren't too many other big people around. I mean, I always struggled to find opponents. You must have had the same troubles.
Do you know what? It was the heavyweight division wasn't too bad when I was fighting regularly. It's I always looked up to, ironically, I looked up to who is now my business partner, Chris Knowles, when I was breaking into the professional scene. Chris was UK #1, and now he's one of the 4 directors of Smash. And funnily enough, my first ever I just fought his brother Lyndon in the finals of the amateurs, and Lyndon had beat me on points, and then I think I had one more fight that summer, and they said to me, my trainer said to me, "Do you fancy fighting Chris Knowles?" I was like, "Well, he just fought Gokhan Saki. I haven't even had a pro fight yet." And he was like, "Well, do you want to fight him?" And, right, yeah, I'll fight him. And then afterwards I was like, I think I need to find Vinny Forman and get some mind coaching. So I actually went to see Vinny a couple of times, and he helped me get through all the anxiety of building up to the fight, and put me asleep, hypnotised me a couple of times, and eventually I got in there with Chris, and it was good for 3 rounds, and then he unloaded and showed why he was #1.
Well, that's really good, though, isn't it? I mean, it's and you've mentioned Vinny Forman, but who else has been significant in your training, coaching? Who's brought you along?
I suppose I owe a big thanks to Simon, really, to Simon Audley, because if it wasn't for him training me all those years ago when I got back into it, I never would have. And believing in me when he gave me that, I'm sure Ben and Gary from MAash, who owned MAash, would have said to him, you know, is Alex ready to fight? And he's obviously gone, yeah, stick him in. And that's where the first fights come from. So if he wouldn't have given me that vote of confidence, I never would have been able to get in the ring. So I suppose I owe a lot of thanks to him. And then there's been loads of people that have helped me along the way. I remember getting me, my first win was my next fight, and there's a guy in Liverpool called Andy Webb, and Andy's since fought on Smash shows. He's still fighting now. He's about 36, but he's still going strong. And I remember him cornering me for my second fight, and I was losing a couple of rounds, and he gave me this big slap across the face, and I went out and knocked the guy out in the third round. So it's people like that. You remember little things that have carried you along the way, and you remember mistakes you've made, and what I try and do is I try and stop my people who I coach and people who I work with, try and stop them making the same mistakes I've made.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I often have, if I coach someone, they'll say, well, I've watched your fights back and you didn't do that. And that's the thing, isn't it? You've learned by your mistakes, and it's nice to pass that information on to them.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's don't get me wrong, everyone's going to make their own mistakes. You're never going to nullify every single mistake that someone's going to make. But the more you can help them, and the more you can help, like I've got one or two of my own fighters on the next Smash show from Masda Gym in Liverpool, and if I can help them and stop them making any mistakes I did, like I used to despise running, and any of the lads that fight for me will tell you what I'm like for making them run, because as soon as Simon got it into my head that I had to run twice a day, I was like a different fighter, and I didn't used to think it was going to benefit me as much as it did, but it did, and I'm kind of rebelling now for all the running I used to have to do.
Yeah. So what about outside martial arts then? We've all got significant key people in our lives who have really helped us or really provided some good information to us when we needed it most. Outside martial arts, who are your mentors / role models?
Outside martial arts, one of the biggest people in my life is obviously my fiance and my little boy, but excuse me, and the lads especially at Smash. You know, we've got three. You know, 2 years ago when we started Smashing in September 2012, I never would have dreamed I'd be as close to the three lads who I'm working with now as I am. They literally like speak to them every day, twice a day. They're like brothers to me now, and you know, you don't always envisage making friends like that at this age, but the biggest influence on my life has to be one of my best friends called Earl Jenkins, and he's actually a community worker in Liverpool. Stopped me getting into so much trouble. He's guided me through some really tough times, and for him I'll be ever thankful, because he's literally kept my life on track at certain points. I mean, he's 10 years older than me, but he's like probably my best mate, one of my best mates in the world.
So you and I were having a bit of a conversation a while ago about how we both love the respect that's in Thai. Do you think that can have a really significant effect on youngsters wherever in the world they're training?
Yeah, definitely. I was still like a kid at 20, 21, 22 when I had my first fight, and I think Thai boxing's kept me on the straight and narrow. And I think kids growing up now, you can see the difference in them when they walk into a gym, and I see it now. You get kids who walk into my gym in Liverpool, we're in a rough neighbourhood like most gyms are. You know, I think LS9's a rough area as far as Andy and Liam have told me in Leeds, and you get the kids that walk in the gym and you know where they're heading and you know where you can take them, and it's about trying to keep them on that path. And we do a lot of work in Liverpool with the pupil referral units and the youth defending team, so the kids who are coming in and out of jail on tag, on detention and saying no, I do a lot of work with them and try and influence them, and even if you get one out of any group, it's worth the whole effort, you know what I mean? So.
Absolutely. So we're on Smash 10 now. Smash 10's coming up. Where do you see Smash going, and what would you like to see it achieve in the near future and maybe the not so near future?
Looking long term, I mean, I'd be lying if I'd say I didn't want to be the best in the world, the best promotion in the world, the best Muay Thai promotion in the world. I want to see these young lads coming through now making the sort of money that can make them not have to go to work 9 to 5, and they can eat, sleep and breathe Thai boxing, and they can make a living off it, and eventually not just make a living off it for the years that they're fighting, but make a living off it so that they can survive for the rest of their lives, like footballers do. Footballers play till they're 35, 40, some of them, and then for the rest of their lives they're comfortable and they survive. And I'd love that to be, and boxers the same, top level boxers the same. I'd love that to be in Thai boxing one day.
Well, that's a gradual step, a process that's going to be done with some small steps, and I think that's a really noble goal. Where do you see it going next after Smash 10?
Smash 11. No,
should have seen that one coming, really.
Yeah, you should. No, Smash 10 is going to be difficult to top. I mean, there's all sorts of people all over the country saying, you know, we're the biggest, and that's fine, because competition's great. I respect all our competition in the market, but I truly believe there's no bigger show in this country this year than Smash 10, and I think the best show I've been to this year, without being biased, is Smash 9, and I don't think many people would argue with that. Probably one or two, and I think after that Smash 11 is going to, you know, we'll hopefully keep building, make it bigger. There's not many bigger fights really than when you put the two biggest ambassadors of UK Muay Thai at the moment, probably Liam and Andy, and they're both competing for the biggest accolade in fight sports. It doesn't come any bigger, so to top that's going to be difficult, but we will continue to try, and then we just hopefully keep growing and growing and growing.
So, just for the people who are perhaps less knowledgeable than you, biggest accolade is
WBC world title. If you're growing up, most people grow up because Thai boxing and various sports like that aren't on mainstream television. If you're into fighting, you grow up watching the boxing. Generally, you'll grow up and you put the boxing on. Or if you're privileged enough to have Sky Television, you can watch Eurosport. You might get a bit of K1 or MMA. But most people will watch the boxing. And when you watch top level boxing, the biggest accolade in the biggest fight sport is the WBC world title. The only other sport you can win that in is Thai boxing. It's the only other sport you can win a professional WBC world title. So if you've got dreams of putting that belt around your waist, like Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, you know, Lennox Lewis, all the people that I grew up watching, if you've got dreams of putting that belt around your waist and you're not a boxer, you need to be a Thai boxer.
Alex, it's been lovely talking to you. I hope everything goes well for you.